The Boss PX-1 is the most contentious pedal I've seen released in years. I want to have a look at it from a slightly different take. I'm not going to complain about it, but what I am going to look at is it value for money? And we're going to compare the price of the pedals that you get in it, and especially the more rare pedals, with how much it would cost you to buy them, just to see if it is worth it. We're going to have a think about which pedals you've probably already got. And then we'll compare it to some of the competition to see what you can get in other similar pedals for around about the same price. And obviously I'm going to talk about the massive elephant in the room, but I'll save that till the end. Let's have a quick look at the pedals that are in it so you know what you're getting. They are as follows: OD1 Overdrive, SP1 Spectrum, PH1 Phaser, SG1 Slow Gear, CS1 Compressor, a TW1 Wah, an SD1 Super Overdrive, DS1 Distortion. So that's the first 8 pedals. The second 8, you've got to sign up for a Boss account and then you download them, and this is what you get: a CE2 chorus, a BF2 flanger, a PN2 tremolo panner, an OC2 octave, a PS2 digital pitch shifted delay, a VB2 vibrato, a DD2 digital delay, and a DF2 super feedback distortion. We're going to go through the list of pedals. We're going to take out the ones that you've probably got or that are common, that you're going to use a lot, that you probably wouldn't want to buy this for, and you'd probably just buy the pedal. And that's going to leave us with some of the more boutique-y things that are really, really quite sought after, rare, unusual, quirky, the things that you probably would want to buy something like this for, and where I think its value lies. And we're going to add up the cost of buying them on the second-hand market, because you're not going to get them new, but the cost of buying these pedals on the second-hand market, and we'll compare those prices to what the plug-out costs, and we'll get a good balance as to whether it is value for money or not. So here's a full list of the pedals that are in this, and what I've done is I've highlighted the ones that I think you've probably already got. So let's start off with the distortions. You've probably got overdrives, you've probably got a distortion, there's 2 overdrives in there, you may well have the same ones. Everybody's got at least one Boss distortion, haven't they? And then in other pedals there's always versions of. So let's just discount them and assume that you've already got them. We're not going to include them. Then things like a digital delay. You've probably got a digital delay either as an individual pedal or on some multi-effect somewhere, so you're probably not going to buy the plug out for that. Then there's the things that are a little bit borderline maybes. Most people have got a chorus, haven't they? And most people have got a compressor, but that's not a thing that everybody will have. So yeah, maybes for them, but I'm still going to discount them because they're very, very popular effects, and you've probably got something similar anywhere. And let's face it, is it worth paying 230 quid for a chorus? You could just buy one, couldn't you? So here's a modified list with all those pedals that you've probably already got taken off, and what we're going to do is we're going to find out what the price of these things are on the second-hand market, because remember, you can't get most of these new. So let's have a look, and this is where we find out whether this pedal is actually value for money. So let's have a look at the prices of some of these things. I've got to be honest, when I saw some of these prices, and these are the prices on eBay today when I'm making the video, but when I saw some of these prices, some poo came out of me. Let's have a look at them. So the SP1 Spectrum, £300. PH1 Phaser, again, £300. And some of these are just on exclusive import from Japan because you can't get them anywhere else. The SG1 Slow Gear, this one it blew my mind. $376. Do you know what it is? The Slow Gear? You probably don't, do you? TW1 Touch Wah, £110. A BF2 flanger, £91. A tremolo pan, 200 quid. An octaver, 80 quid. A digital pitch wah shifted delay, blah blah blah, PS2 thing, £125. A vibrato, 160. You can get them on Love Honey for less than that. A DF2 super feedback, a distortion, 150. Now, a lot of these pedals, there are newer versions of that Boss have replaced the old vintage ones with that are technically, I suppose, should be better, but we know what guitar players are like with vintage pedals. So for instance, a Phaser, 300 quid for a PH1 because it's vintage. Well, there's a lot of cork sniffing going into that, I think, because you can buy a new one, the newer version of the Phaser, for 150 quid or so. So bear that in mind. All right, let's do the maths and add this up. So, adding all of these up, it gives us a grand total of, drumroll, are you ready for this? £1,892. Convert that into dollars for you.
£1,892 equals $2,541.29.
That's a lot of dollars. Okay, so I think we've established that if you do want those particular Boss pedals, then the Plugout is possibly the way to go. It's certainly cheaper than buying some of them individually. Even if you're just going to use it for one pedal, it's a bargain. And I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's the way it is. Now, have a think about what else is on the market, because there are other pedals that do very similar things and might be more flexible and might be better value for money. A lot of them have Boss pedals in them, or clones of Boss pedals. So let's have a look at the competition very, very briefly and see what you can get for a similar price, or maybe even a bit less. So as far as the competition is concerned, the nearest thing price-wise is the Line 6 HX1. Now this thing, I've got to be honest, if you're not a cork sniffer about the Boss thing, then it absolutely blows out of the water. You're looking at 250 effects, which can be stored in 128 presets that you can switch between. The Boss, you can't switch between many of them. You can only switch between 2 if you buy an additional pedal. It's fully controllable by MIDI, program change and control change. You can change every parameter. So if you've got something like a MIDI captain, then you can run it from that and you can have all sorts of things going on. And it's £10 less. And with it being Line 6, when firmware updates happen, which do happen quite regularly, there's often new pedals in there as well. The next bit of obvious competition is the Line 6, again, Line 6 M5, which is an old pedal and only has the sort of legacy Line 6 effects, but they are great effects, and that costs you 120 quid. You get 100 effects and you get 24 presets to fit them into. Oh, and it does have some MIDI control, so program change, a limited amount of CC change, and a few other bits and pieces, but it's still quite controllable. Then there's the other biggie, which is the TC Electronics Plethora. That comes in at £129. That's got 14 effects, but you also get access to the tone print library, which gives you access to customized effects and things that have been set up by them, by celebrities, by users, all sorts of people. So that's 129 quid, and that's really good as well. Now, if you want real bargain stuff, there's the Zoom Multi-Stomp, which will get you out of all sorts of things. It's got amps in there, it's got effects, it's got all sorts of stuff. Probably worth checking out for 100 quid. It's a good little pedal. The latest contender in the game, I think, is the Vailton GP5, which is about 80 quid, and it's got masses of stuff in it, and it does NAM captures. I mean, you know, that's a real bargain. Okay, maybe the effects are not quite the same quality as the Line 6 or maybe it's the Boss, but it certainly does a lot, and it does a lot for the money. Now, the last thing I want to mention is the NUX pedals. Now, they've got pedals that give you one category of effects, so for instance, modulations, delays, distortions, things like that, but you buy one pedal that gives you lots of versions of that effect, and they're 80 quid each. So really you can get 3 of them and have 3 effects at the same time for the price, or roughly the price, of the Boss Plugout. So that's worth considering as well. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. And it's not a little elephant, it's quite a big one. And it's this: if you want more effects, you have to pay for them. Now, this has been going on in the plugin world for quite a while, and Kemper have done a similar thing with one of their products. But you know what? In the guitar effects world, this is quite new and people are not used to it and not liking it. It's always been that effects units and multi-effect units have been sold, and one of the selling points has been it's got X amount of effect. It's got a lot of effects and does a lot. To then say, okay, well, you can have so many effects, but we're only going to allow you to have so many, and then you can buy the rest, is something that's not really sitting well with a lot of people. And I get that. I completely get that. Will the guitar community accept that? Well, you know what? I'm not sure, because we're coming from an environment where companies like Line 6 and Fractal have set a precedent whereby if they come up with new effects or new things, new amps, new anything, then customers get that for nothing in firmware updates, and that's the way it's been for a long, long time. Boss are turning that on their head and saying, all right, well, if you want more, pay. pay for it. You know what? It's a little bit odd when other people are making the same pedals as them and the competition is very, very different. Here's another thing. Boss GT1000 has got stacks of Boss pedals in it, and you can pick one of them up second hand for 400 quid. Is that not something to think about, Mr. Boss? I don't know. You know what, if you're absolutely determined on sniffing Boss's cork, then this is the thing for you, and it certainly, I'm sure, will do a very, very good job of that. But I don't know, is it for you? Tell me what you think. Are you going to buy one? I'm probably not, because I've got a stack of Boss pedals already, and I've got an HX Stomp, and I've got a GT1000, and I've got all sorts of things. So really, there's not a need on my pedal board to have that. Is there on yours? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Cheers.